Well, hello and welcome into the Knicks-Verse pregame show live with first-time guest. Been wanting to get Noah on the show for a while. Finally reached out, and luckily for me, he was available. Luckily for you guys, Noah Cahill, the Knicks realist, formerly known as Clutch B-Ball, where I first encountered him way back when Keese from Sports Vibes TV turned me on to him. And we love his viewpoint, love his vibe, love his fandom and his knowledge of the game. One of the youngest, I think, content creators at the time when he first started. Welcome to the show, Noah.
Thank you for having me on. You know, I never collab a lot, but when someone reaches out to me, I'll always come on. It's not like I have a big ego or anything like that. I just love talking New York Knicks, and I have a lot of respect for your channel. And yeah, shout out to Marquisa as well. Like, great channel. I'm not sure if he's still making videos, but I loved when he was.
He took a break. He's taking a break this season. He'll be back.
I hope everything's well with him. I always love the way he broke down the game, and I always have a lot of respect for everyone in the Knicks community. Some people may say crazy stuff, but at the end of the day, we just want this team to be good. That's all we want.
That's right. That's right. Not everyone can be right 100% of the time, or even, you know, if you're right half the time, that's pretty good. Yeah. But yeah, exactly like you said, we just want the team to win, and we're just looking for ways to make that happen. And that's one of the reasons why I even started this channel, just become a part of the dialogue. I got so sick of the ESPN and the national media narrative that this was just a joke franchise. And then when it permeated and carried over and start hearing people like KD saying, oh, it's not cool to be a Knick. And it's like, you know what? Fuck you, man. What are you talking about? New York City is the greatest city in the world. It's the coolest city in the world. If you can't handle playing there, you can't handle playing anywhere. And, you know, he made a huge mistake going to Brooklyn. And now his ass is going to be sent home very early in the playoffs out west, because that Phoenix team does not have a chance.
No, they do
not have a chance.
They do not look good defensively. They're so inconsistent. They're so unpredictable. You'll see them beat a very good team, and then they just end up just sleep. Like, they literally fall asleep during game they're supposed to win. And I will say one thing, though. Like, of course, I'm not a big fan of Kevin Durant. During that time, though, like, you made a good point with the brand. You know, New York's really cool, like the passion, the fans. But during that time, like with Fizdale, the organization, we did look a mess. In my opinion, it wasn't really an attractive destination. But obviously, I wanted Kevin Durant during that time. But honestly, looking forward to playing with. Who was the headline during that time? Kevin Knox. Like, that was the excitement.
Hey, you want to be invited to a party as a guest, or you want to be the prime guest, the host? I mean, that's true. You know,
challenge, take on the challenge.
Yeah, exactly. And actually, just what's happened with Jalen Brunson and how it looks like the media and the basketball world has finally woken up to what we have been seeing for 2 years now. They realized his actual greatness, and the way that the media has embraced it and the way the fans have embraced him. I'm sure lots of other superstars are jelly. Mega jelly, because he's getting the love that other guys don't get in other areas. And even if they do, does it matter? You know, it's like, you know, if someone farts in the woods, does it really make a sound if you can't hear it? I mean, that's basically how it is if you're playing out in those other areas like New Orleans.
And it's like, I feel like it's such a better feeling. Like, I don't know, I feel a lot more satisfied with Brunson than having Kyrie. Well, obviously he's younger, but he's humble. He's from New York. His dad played for the Knicks. He grew up a Knicks fan. He knew Tip. So it's just like a closer, like, just a better feeling. I don't know. It's just such a heartfelt story that it just feels like something out of a fairy tale. But no, it's like actually happening. It's
beautifully said. It is kind of like a fairy tale. It is more meaningful.
It's just unbelievable. He's like, it's just showing that you don't need this crazy athleticism if you have great footwork, if you have great timing, if you're just willing to put in the work. You know, second round draft pick, his opportunity came. We saw what happened in the playoffs, but like, different situation now in New York, being that guy, and he got even better. Like, I didn't like. I'm a giant Jalen Brunson fan. Like, I liked him with Dallas, but I'm sorry, you're lying if you thought he was going to be averaging 28 points per game at one point in his career. Like,
nobody foresaw that. I could definitely see that he could average 20 a game. I was shocked that he was a second round pick, that he slipped that far. And then when he started showing signs of life with the Mavericks, and it basically carried them to the Western Conference Finals, which a lot of people are confused out there. They think like, oh, he hasn't done anything. No, he helped carry that team when Luka was hurt, and he took them to the Western Conference Finals, and that's why we were able to come in and grab him, because at least Leon knew what he was getting.
And who'd he beat in the first round? Donovan Mitchell. He dropped two 40-point games in the first round of that series as well without Luka. And you see what he's doing now without Randall. Like, it's just unbelievable. You would think like Randall takes pressure off of Brunson. They're throwing double teams at him. We just saw him cook Caruso. Then he cooks Drew Holiday. They put tape on him. They're blitzing him. They're picking him up full court. It doesn't matter. Like, he's just finding a way to score. It's just ridiculous. Like,
because he's a baller.
Yeah,
that's what it is. He's going to figure it out.
He's just such a patient player. It just seems like he's like nothing bothers him mentally. He's just so mentally tough. And
he's a great leader as well. So that's something that we definitely have been needing for a while on the franchise. Before we go on, just want to shout out to the chat. Thank you guys for joining us. Skinny B37, what's up? Welcome to the channel. Thanks for joining us. If this is your first time here and you haven't subscribed yet, please do so and turn on the notification bell so you are alerted when we go live or drop a new video. And hit the thumbs up button for us, because that really helps a lot. And share the video. And if you're watching this later on, and just drop your comments. I try to read all the comments. We're going to talk about whether the Knicks, whether this team, whether the ceiling on this team should be removed. We're going to talk about potential playoff matchups, and we're just going to talk about the playoffs in general, even other teams as well. And let's get into it. Let's get to talking about the playoff picture first, because that seems to be a lot of stuff that is. Here we go. Right now, it's up in the air. None of this is fully set yet, which is kind of shocking with only 2 games left in the season. One thing I got to say, shout out to the NBA. I do love the way they did end up with the last Friday of this regular season, where every single team plays, and then the last Sunday, every single team plays. Smart move on their part. Mm-hmm. And right now the Knicks are in third place, the 3rd seed, which is where we want to be, because that means even though we took care of business with the Celtics last night, 7-game series is going to be very, very difficult with them, and we don't want to do that in the first round or the second round. Put that off as far as possible. We will meet them in the Eastern Conference Finals. So now we're in the lower bracket, which means we'll have to take care of business if things stay the same right here. We'll have to take care of business against the Pacers, or eventually the Bucks, Sixers, or Heat. Yeah. That's who we'll have to take care of business. Yeah, because the 8th seed, whoever loses in the play-in, the 7-8 game, whoever loses that plays the winner of the 9-10 game, and then the winner of that battle becomes the 8th seed, and then they go up into the upper bracket and play the Celtics.
Who do you think's going to win that, Hawks or Bulls? I'm leaning Hawks. I have a feeling they're going to win that.
Now that Andre Drummond is hurt, and I haven't heard anything about his injury that he suffered, the ankle tweak against us, that weakens them a lot. I think if they still had him, the way they've been playing, Kobe's been Kobe's been really nice. He's turned into a nice player. I kind of felt like the Bulls might be able to pull that out, but without Drummond, it does look like the Hawks have the leg up there.
And Trae Young just came back too, so.
Oh, Trae's back. So, yeah. So there you go. So I think, so you got your money on the Hawks there.
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't bet, but if I would.
I don't bet either right now, but I think I'm going to change that. I'm going to start betting. All right. We got the Sixers and Heat. Let's say that stays the same. Though the Sixers have been balling. I think they're gonna win out the rest. They're gonna end up with 47 wins.
Yeah.
Which might be good enough for the 6th seed, which means they'll be playing us.
Yep. Pressure on the Pacers tonight. We'll see what happens with the Cavs. That's gonna be definitely a competitive game.
Yeah, let's see. They play the Sixers play the Cavs. I mean the Pacers tonight?
Yeah, the Pacers play the Cavs tonight, and the Sixers play the Magic tonight. I'm pretty sure. Or at least maybe not tonight the Pacers play, but I do know that they
eventually, right? Let me see. I want to pull it up here. The Magic play. Oh, I just had it. The Raptors play the Heat. Yeah, Magic play the Sixers tonight. Pacers play the Cavs tonight. Yeah. So that's going to be an interesting one. if the Pacers can beat the Cavs, then they will most likely stay the 6th seed. Could even rise up to 5th, depending on what happens with the Magic on the last day.
Are you rooting for the Pacers to win so we play the Pacers?
It's funny. People keep asking me that. It's like I haven't really gotten caught up in that. Like I don't, because to be honest, I respect, even though I trash talk and make fun of all the teams, but when it comes down to reality, I respect all of these teams. Honestly,
me too.
They could wake up. Something you get a bad foul call here and there. Like look what happened to us. A couple games got stolen from us. And then we ended up on a 3-game losing streak. It go to overtime with the Spurs. That didn't go right. You know what I mean? So you never know what can happen. So you can't take anything for granted. But which team would I prefer? Where do I think might be the softest of all of these? You know what? I still want the Cavs.
Well, yeah, I think we're in the Cavs' head mentally. Like I honestly think we just are. All respect to Mobley. I liked him coming out, but he's been a lot softer, like as a player than I thought coming out. And same thing with Jared Allen. Like Josh Hart, Mitchell Robinson own them. Like, and it wasn't even just the playoffs. We saw what Josh Hart did in the regular season versus them in that game down the stretch, and he just turns into, I don't even know, like hitting the sidestep, like that sidestep 3 in the corner.
Dude,
like
when he's hitting threes, we are unbeatable. When Josh Hart is hitting threes, no one can beat us.
Yeah, and
it's just a crazy thing to say.
I don't know if you noticed this with his jump shot. I've noticed this. So, like when there's like, let's say 15 seconds on the shot clock, it seems like he takes his time, shoots the ball. But when the shot clock's winding down, I feel like he always makes those shots because it's based off instinct. He's not thinking, he's just reacting, and he's just shooting the basketball. When he's shooting, I feel like that's when he's not at his best. But when he's like probing around in the mid range and the shot clock's winding down, he just throws it up. It like goes in every time
because it comes out of the flow. It comes out of a flow where if he's like, stop, think, okay, I'm going to shoot now. Then he's like way into his head about what he's actually doing, as opposed to just reacting and flowing. Oh, shot clock's going down. Boom, shoot. Yeah, I agree. It is. He has a funky looking 3-point shot. Every time it looks like it's not going to go in. So I'm happy when it does. Totally happy when it does.
Like I wonder if he's like a superstitious player. I don't know. Like I just sometimes notice these little things. He's always wiping his hands on his jersey, or when he's shooting the free throws. You don't notice this with a lot of players. Like he checks his hands like on the seams of the ball, like before he shoots. He always does like this, making sure like he takes his time.
Yeah, he has his ritual.
Yeah, he does.
Sure. I think he is superstitious. A lot of ball players, a lot of athletes in general are superstitious. Yeah, I remember I used to only like when I was going to start, like when I was showering, I'd be like, okay, well, I'm going to shampoo the hair first. That's what I'm going to do first. Like I always had a routine on like a game day or something.
Yeah.
It's just like a weird little habits. Are you superstitious?
I'm a superstitious person.
You are? Oh, you're
like thinking, am I like, do I do anything? Sometimes when it comes to the games, that it's just like, I used to do this when I was, what was this? How old was I? I was like much younger, but for some reason, it's like when I turned off the Knicks games, it's like, okay, I checked the score winning, and I turn it back on. The other team goes on a run, and I'm like, all right, maybe I should just not watch the game when I was younger. Until I realized that it's just like you're just being stupid, Noah.
Hey, I believe in the basketball gods, and I believe they're watching. Totally. So who do you prefer? Okay, so I kind of didn't really answer because I cheated and said Cavs. Because you asked me between Pacers, Magic, Sixers, and Heat, right? Is that what you were?
Yeah, just I guess any team that realistically we could play.
Well, the Heat, I think the Heat doesn't have a chance at this point because they can only finish with 46 wins, and that won't be enough to get the 6th seed. So I think it is down to Sixers, Pacers, and Magic.
I would say that the Cavs, like when you answered Cavs, I agree with that. Like I said, I think we're in their head mentally, honestly.
Totally. We own them right now.
Yeah, we absolutely own them. It's like, I don't know if you've been tracking like the last maybe 6-7 years, Philly and Boston. Like Boston's just in Philly's head. Like Philly just can't beat Boston. I feel like that's how we are with Cleveland. They're honestly just, I feel like we're a more physical and more mentally tough team than them, honestly. But it would be the Cavs or maybe the Magic because of their inconsistent floor spacing. They do have switchable bodies. Like, I have respect for Anthony Black, who I think is an underrated rookie. Jalen Suggs has had a good year. He's kind of like at the beginning of his career.
Become a really good defender. I mean, he's become the defender we thought he would be.
Yeah, he's become a better jump shooter, but I don't know. Do they have consistent floor spacing? I do like their team. I don't know if you've noticed Franz Wagner. He's taken a step back from like when it comes to the 3-point line. Last year, he shot like 35, 36% from three. I'm not sure what it's currently at, but the last time I checked, it was like under 30% from three. Like, he's been really struggling downtown, but he's still averaging 19 points per game because he could still.
Is this his third season or second? Just third?
Maybe, I think third. When was he drafted?
I can't remember now, but yeah, I have noticed that he's taken a bit of a step back.
Yeah.
Hey, shout out to the chat. We got John Smith in the house, Angela Patrick, Buzzer Beater. What's up, man?
What's
Good
up?
to see you, Carlton Thomas. What's up? Let's see. Let's go Knicks 50 burgers this season. Hey, we went out. We get 50.
I'll be so pumped.
I mean, tonight, these games tonight, like the Nets, this could have easily been one of those trap games, but I got a feeling that the Thibs is not going to let these guys slack off. But Isaiah Hartenstein may not be able to play.
The Nets have injuries too, though. I also looked at their injury report. Cam Johnson's not playing. Dennis Smith Jr. is not playing. Finney Smith's not playing.
Oh, okay. All right, so that's good for us.
Deron Sharp's not playing. I forgot who else. I had it pulled up. Yeah, they have a lot. I think I mentioned Dennis Schroeder.
John Smith says Indiana has tiebreaker with Philly, and he says Magic has tiebreaker with Indiana. Interesting.
Magic, as of right now, has a tiebreaker with Philly. And they play tonight. It's so close. It's so close right now. It's ridiculous how close it is.
Philly has tiebreaker with Orlando. Ooh, so close. It is. It's just a little mosh pit there.
Crazy.
Well, let's play this out. Let's see. We got 9-10. We think at this point, I'm agreeing with you. I think the Hawks might actually win that game if Drummond is out.
Yeah.
So then the Hawks would play the Heat.
They would lose that.
The Hawks will lose?
I think the Heat are just so battle tested. They're the team that it just seems like I don't care what they do in the regular season. They have, you could say, I love Tom Thibodeau. I'll be respectful towards Knicks fans in the chat. Eric Spoelstra's top 3 coach in the Eastern Conference. He's such.
Oh yeah, no doubt. Eric Spoelstra, in my opinion, is the best coach in the NBA.
I just didn't want to piss off Knicks fans in the chat.
We got the coolest fans in the Knicks-Verse. We got real basketball fans in the Knicks-Verse, and they're crazy Knicks fans as well, like we are. So shout out to Lex the Destroyer. What's up, brother? Thanks for joining me. Awesome, man. Appreciate you.
But yeah, I think the Heat are just very, very battle tested. Their physicality is too much for the Hawks. I'm just not a big believer in the Hawks. I think the Hawks beat the Bulls because I'm just not a big believer in the Bulls. Kobe White, he's been like kind of fell off lately, but he's definitely a candidate for most improved player. I think they're going to end up giving it to Maxey, but they need to just change the name of the award. If you're going to give it to like breakout players, just call it the breakout award, because John Morant was the 2nd overall pick and he won the award a few years ago. I didn't.
Yeah, that doesn't. The most improved is what it's supposed to be.
Yeah, like Randall, that made sense.
Totally. I think you're right. I think Kobe deserves MIP this year, most improved player.
And I don't think he's going to win it, but Dante DiVincenzo should be in the conversation.
Dante should be in the conversation. Absolutely. He is now the number 1 high volume 3-point shooter in the NBA over Steph. And I forgot who was number 2, whoever's the other high volume guy. And what we're talking about that is, it's one thing, you put up 3 or 4 3-pointers a game, those kind of guys like a Nesmith and stuff, they can keep their percentages up high. But when the team demands you to be putting up like averaging 10 a game, that's a lot more. Usually almost everybody's percentages really die down, but not Dante's. That's the beauty of his. And
when we had no OG and Randall, like he was asked to do a lot. A lot was on his plate for sure.
Oh yeah, he was asked to become the number 2 scorer on this team, and he did. He filled the shoes beautifully.
Yep.
So Sixers seed. Okay, so Sixers will become the 7th seed if things stay the same right now. But anything can happen at this point. To be honest with you, the Hawks. I mean, one thing I got to say about the Heat is eventually their time in the play-in and then making it to the finals or conference finals, it's going to run out. And I'm calling it. This is the season where it runs out.
Okay.
I'm calling it. I think if they do get past the Hawks. Because also the Hawks have a lot to play for themselves. They have a lot of pride to play for. And if they can overcome the Bulls and get into that 9-10 game versus the 7-8 loser, it's just one game, man. You just need Trey and DeJounte to wake up for one game. Bogdan, hits 4 or 5 threes. This team is right. This game is right there at the end. And it's a Trey 3-pointer from 42 feet.
This is kind of a legacy game in a way. I'm not saying this is going to define Trae Young's career, but since Trae Young has come in the league, he had Lloyd Pierce, he ended up having Nate McMillan got fired, and he hasn't been this team hasn't been successful with Quinn Snyder as well. So there's a lot of questions right now going around that organization because I thought Quinn Snyder was a good head coach in Utah, and the Hawks have just been badly inconsistent.
It's tough. I would imagine it's tough to coach with a guy like a Trae Young because it was an issue for a while with Brunson with his defense, especially more last season. He's figured it out a little more. He has more active hands. He's creating turnovers by taking charges. He was doing that last year, but he's even doing it even more so this year. He's coming around from the weak side to create those steals, to disrupt the offense a little more. He's being better, but his offense has risen even more so. What was he averaging last year? 24 a game?
Yeah, 24. Now he's averaging 28?
28 and change. In reality, he's been 30 since January 1st, pretty much, something like that. So the net plus side has increased so much that his defense isn't as big a liability. But the thing is, with Trae, he can't do anything defensively, and he can get some steals once.
And let's talk about the efficiency side of things. So Trae Young, he's shooting it better from 3 this year. Everyone talks about him shooting these deep threes, but if you look throughout his career, he hasn't been a very efficient 3-point shooter. And Brunson's a more efficient scorer overall.
Much more efficient.
Do you think he's 6'2", or do you think he's shorter than that?
Brunson?
Yeah.
I think with shoes on. I think he's 6 feet, 6.5, 6 feet and
But at his size, it's not normal for him to be shooting 47, 48%. Let's put this in the. I know Porzingis took jumpers, but when he was here with the Knicks, when he had a season, he shot 44%, and he's 7'3", and you have Brunson that's shooting 47% at his height. I think he shot even better last year from the 48%. He's shooting 40% from 3. It's ridiculous what he's doing at his height. But when Trae Young isn't executing defensively, and he's giving you 25 plus points, but let's say he's shooting 35% from the field, it's not always going to result in winning.
No. That's a recipe for disaster. That's a recipe for losing.
Exactly. And I give I don't give anyone a pass. Defensively, he's acting we know he's top of the league when it comes to drawing charges, or he's up there. Who else was it?
He's number 2 in the league for drawing charges.
Trying to think who was number 1. I can't think at the top of my head. But I think he's a younger player. That's it. But he draws charges, and you can count.
I think it's Suggs.
Who is it? Jalen.
Is it someone like that, like a Suggs or
maybe a younger player? But you can count on him down the stretch of, and he's going to try to make a play by even drawing a charge. And it's one of those things when he's operating out of the post, or he's in triple threat, you just can count on him to efficiently score the basketball. It's hard to say that Jalen Brunson is a chucker when almost every shot goes in that he shoots when he shoots the basketball.
Look, he's gotten better at not forcing it. Mm-hmm. And that's another one of those reasons why the team has elevated. Because there was a period of time there, where he felt I have to take every shot, especially with Randall gone, OG gone. But man, did that work itself out. I love how he repositions himself now. He gives up the ball. He finds another spot on the floor. Boom. And he buries it, or he drives. He gets hit. A nice little bounce pass to him. And the whole team is playing like that. The cutting. I like the back screen cuts right now.
Hartenstein does a great job finding guys cutting. How about that pass? There's two plays I really love. The other one wasn't Hartenstein, but the one when he found Dante DiVincenzo cutting backdoor. That was
I heard or Brunson did.
Or it might have been
whatever. I think it was the last game or the Milwaukee game. There was an incredible pass that Brunson did, a bounce pass into the lane.
Yeah,
for a layup or a dunk.
Yeah, and then I loved one play versus Boston. I think Brunson was in the corner. He gave up the ball, but he was moving without the ball. Might have been late in the third quarter, but then he cut to the basket and got the ball back. Like, he's gotten better when it comes to moving off the ball. Like, he's shown before, like in Dallas, obviously, when you're playing with Luka, that he could play without the ball. But I feel like he's gotten even better. I wonder if he's watched some Curry film, because, you know, if you watch Curry, this dude's just running around like crazy. And
I bet he has. I bet everybody has. But he's putting it to work. Yeah, man. Hey, shout out to the chat. We got a Golden State guy in the chat. Frederick, what's up, brother? Let's see here. We got Giannis out until the playoffs. Yeah, he's gone for the rest of the rest of the regular season. John Smith says Miami will beat Hawks because Trey and DeJounte not good together. All right. Dennis Smith Jr. is out. Interesting. All right. Let's get back to looking at the playoff picture here. All right. So at this point, we got Pacers. I like our chances. We have a home team advantage right there. We'll be playing against Obi. Obi Toppin and Halliburton, who probably should have been a Knick, but then again, if he was, we wouldn't have Jalen Brunson. Interesting how all those things work out or don't work out in the end. But I love our chances, and at this point, it means that we would face, if we do get past Indiana in the second round, we'd face the Sixers. It could be the Heat or the Bucks, but let's focus on the Bucks at the moment. How do you think that series could play itself out?
All right, so the Bucks they're a mess. I know they just had a win versus Orlando, and I think they play final two games. They play the Thunder and Orlando, and obviously Giannis. And Bobby Portis went off in that game. I'm not a big believer in Doc Rivers. I'm not, and I know everyone just says that, and it may just be like unpopular, but I'm not. Like, I live in a household. There's literally some Sixers fans in my household, and they do not like Doc Rivers at all. They can tell you all about Doc Rivers. Like when he won that championship, what, in 08, 09? Like
08, yeah, 08.
To win more than one championship with that team.
Yeah, I'm surprised they didn't.
Ray Allen, Paul Pierce was on.
Well, Kobe had a few things to do about that.
Yeah, can't disrespect Kobe. Rest in peace to Kobe Bryant. But when I look at the Bucks, it just seems like the chemistry is still not there between Lillard, Giannis, and Middleton. I don't know. I forgot what the stat is, but those three guys are like their full, healthy starting lineup. They haven't played a lot of games together, and that kind of worries me. And they're maneuvering their starting lineup. I don't know if you saw, Malik Beasley doesn't start for them anymore. Patrick Beverley does. So that kind of concerns me that you got to make a move like this at the end of the season. And Beverley, we know we can get after it defensively, but can you count on him consistently to score the ball? And Middleton, he's a battle-tested playoff player, but can he stay healthy in the playoffs? Like, this team's just gone old. Like, Brook Lopez, I feel like he's always been an inconsistent rebounder, but like he'll have a night, has 13 rebounds, and then you saw versus us, like, obviously credit to us, Josh Hart, what he does on the boards, Hartenstein, Mitch played fantastic versus Milwaukee defensively, and that game was unbelievable. But he'll have a game that he's like 5 rebounds. It's just like you never know what Bucks team's gonna show up. Giannis, he's always gonna give it his all, but Lillard's been up and down. Like, he hasn't looked like
they can't stop Brunson.
They don't have an answer for Brunson. Maybe they'll throw Giannis on him, but when he gets to the rim, Brook Lopez doesn't move as well as he used to. He's still like a solid rim protector, but if there's a switch with Lillard or Middleton, like, it's honestly a wrap, like in isolation situations, because Bucks fans, they say Middleton has like cement shoes on. That's how he's been moving lately, and with injuries, him getting older as well.
I think he's banged up, right? Isn't he?
Yeah, he's been banged up, it feels like, for the last like since they won that championship. It feels
6 years. Yeah, since the championship, pretty much. He is the key. I think he is the key for that team. If he's cooking, the Bucks are going to be really tough to beat for anybody, honestly, because Giannis is going to be Giannis. Dame, if you need a clutch bucket, He's the guy to go to. So they have that. But the guy who kind of keeps things flowing, play in, play out, is a Middleton. And you got Bobby Portis, and then you got Lopez there as well. I don't mind substituting Beasley for Pat Bev because you need some kind of defense out there on the perimeter. But see, all those things that won't matter against a Brunson. And then Brunson, the way he's been able to find his open teammates and break down those defenses and not force shots, has been the real key to turning this Knicks team into, like, I think, a really viable contender for getting to the finals. I mean, I used to think we needed Randall for it. Now I'm not so sure. Not the way the ball is moving. Okay. Not the way we're getting easier buckets. Not the way we're shooting that 3-point shot. So it's I'm hyped, but I do think it will be a tough series. It could be six or seven games. And I do think we could eventually figure that one out, because every year you see it, it's one of those teams that hang on to their players a little too long, and they kind of run out of everything by the time they get into the playoffs, when every single moment, every single possession means something. The intensity of that, even though they are tested, they lost last season in the first round.
And we saw OG Anunoby's defensive versatility versus the Bucks. That dude,
and now we got OG.
And he wasn't even scoring that game. He wasn't even at his best that game, too. But he had 4-1. He was all over.
He was making Giannis crazy.
Dude, the amount of deflections, even Mitch Robinson, I thought he played.
I don't think the stat line even showed like the impact that OG made on that game.
I'm sure there were so many casuals just saying, "Oh, he looked like Frank Ntilikina out there." The wild people on Twitter.
Yeah.
But anyway, yeah, OG Anunoby, he just fits like a glove when it comes to this team. And he knocked down his threes last game. We need that, and we know we can move without the ball as well. And I feel like what's really going to elevate this team, obviously OG's at his best when he's playing defense. He's knocking down his 3-point shots. He's moving without the ball. But one of my favorite games is when, unfortunately, Randall obviously got hurt in this game. But when he was getting to his mid-range shots and he was knocking down like shots from mid-range, that's when I feel like he could elevate like the ceiling of this team even more, adding more versatility offensively. Because I guess one of the only concerns is, like, even though we're moving the ball very well, let's say a team's just playing very good defense, but Brunson obviously draws so much attention and it could open up so much. But are you concerned about like another shot creator, or do you think like Bogdanovic is going to be amazing?
It's good. We're going to talk about Bojan because I do think he's essential for the Knicks to be able to make a deep run in the playoffs. Because the thing is, though, scoring goes down in general in the playoffs, but we have a guy who doesn't affect him, which is Brunson. So it affects 99% of all the other players, but there's that 1% it doesn't affect, like a Giannis, a Brunson, the great scorers here. Tatum, I'll shout him out, even though now we got OG to help neutralize him. So yeah, I do think it's going to get a little tighter. We're going to need somebody to create shots for themselves, and that was the whole purpose of the trade. We thought Burks could do that as well. He's out of the rotation now, and rightly so. But Bojan has definitely been coming around. Actually, I got some recent stats for him here. Let's see. So in the last 5 games, Bojan's averaging 10.6 points per game on 53.8% field goal shooting and 43% from the 3-point line. I don't think this is a fluke. I think this is him finally becoming more comfortable, getting the ball in spots that he likes it. And also, I think it's him adapting to the reality of the team he's on. He's not a starter. The ball's not in his hands all the time. He's got to figure out how to create points on this team. And it took too many games as far as I'm concerned, but I feel like it's coming around now. And he's been a proven NBA high quality scorer and shooter his entire career, and
playoff player. I was looking at his playoff stats when he was in Utah, because obviously Detroit just absolutely terrible. But when he was in Utah a couple years ago, I believe he averaged 18 points per game, and both of those years he was in the playoffs. Obviously, maybe had a different role during the time, but I've noticed the theme with Bogdanovic's good games, and I've liked it. His best games, you could say, is coming come against Boston, a team that's obviously really good, that's in our conference, versus Milwaukee. And even though Philly had injuries versus the time, he popped off versus Philly the first time, because obviously the other time it was kind of rough, or there's a couple other times. But I like that he's popping off against teams that like we need him to pop off against. So maybe he's in their head mentally a little bit, and they have to worry about him, which opens up more for other players.
Yeah, I'm pulling up his playoff stats. We'll just go when he was with Indiana in 2017-18, he averaged 12.4 points per game. But then in 2018-19, the next season, he averaged 18 points a game. And then in 2021 for Utah, they played 11 games, and I think that was with Donovan Mitchell. He averaged 18.1 points per game on 46.7% shooting overall and 46.1% from the 3-point line.
Gotta be excited, man. Gotta be excited.
Yeah. So, he's had some, the 18-19, he only shot 31.8% from three. So he's kind of, with only a few games, you can get a lot of variance. But he has shown that he can step up in the playoffs.
Yep.
Very excited about him right now. Honestly, if this guy, let's say he gets in the playoffs, what he averages, like about 26 minutes a game. He could probably average good maybe 15, 16 points a game.
I think that's realistic.
Yeah.
I
think he becomes like the bench version of Dante.
Yep.
Huge.
That would definitely be huge.
Yeah, but he's 6'7", and I like the way he's been finishing at the hoop.
How about, all right, this shocked me. I knew, because he averaged 20.
His little reverse that he did the other day?
What the heck was that? You thought he was Derrick Rose? And the bench, Charlie Brown Jr. is starting to become our Pinson. You remember Pinson that was on the bench? Charlie Brown, I'm loving his excitement off the bench when he made that layup. I had the same reaction. I was like, what the heck did I just watch?
Everybody lost it. People were texting me, "Oh my God, what happened to Bojan?"
In the Milwaukee game, this man stepped into a three like it was like the Carmelo game versus Chicago, on Easter. Bro, just stepped right to the three and just splashed it. And I just had a good feeling about him. Oh yeah, he's
key. He's key. I was really worried with about when was that? I guess that was 2 weeks ago. He was struggling. Burks was struggling. We were in that 3-game losing streak. And I was like, man, is this guy, how is he missing those 3-point? He was missing wide open looks as well, rushing it or whatever. He's finally become more comfortable. And when it's a vet doing it, I don't see that leaving him that quickly. Young guys can get hot, for 2 or 3 games and then they suck ass again for 2 months, a month and a half. I don't think that's the deal here, and I'm really happy because we needed it because Burks has been a disaster.
Yeah, he didn't even he's done. Him and Tibbs got their divorce. All the jokes that.
Yeah, they're still living together, but they're divorced, but they're still living together.
Crazy to think a couple of years ago, a few years ago, this dude is a freaking starting point guard, and now he's back on the team. This dude doesn't even play anymore. But when it comes to Bojan, I'm sure he even expects more from himself. He probably knows he could play even better. He's a veteran. He's been in the league for a long time. He's just turned 36, or he's going to turn 36. And I like that his game doesn't rely on a lot of athleticism. So I don't see him breaking down. Hopefully in the playoffs or anything.
The beauty of guys like him, which is what I love about the roster that we have right now, is this guy can give you 30 points in a night. He can give you 20 pretty easily. Sometimes in 18 minutes, he's got 20, 21 points, 19 points. He can give you some real high volume production. The defense, of course, is the major issue.
Yeah.
But I saw active hands. I saw him poking some balls away. I saw him clogging up lanes for guys driving. He was at least doing the job of a defender. So let's hope that's a good sign that he'll continue that part.
Yeah,
but we have Dante can give you 30. Hart can give you 20, 25. OG can give you 20, 25. And then we got Brunson who can give you 50.
I thought Dante had such an underrated game. I thought something a lot of people weren't talking about is Dante. He was taking it to the basket, like in that first quarter, in the early second quarter, which I really liked, which opened up more because we're gonna need that in the playoffs. Because
Yeah.
they're gonna be daring him to put the ball on the floor and attack, and I like that he showed that versus Boston. You have Porzingis, who's 7'3", and yeah, Josh Hart was unbelievable in that game as well. Like he had a nice reverse on Porzingis. Obviously, he was getting just like it was just a he just got so many like back-breaking rebounds. Like the Celtics probably just got pissed off. That's just how many boards he got, especially when it came in the first half, just offensive boards. And I don't know if you saw like the shot distribution or like the shot attempts from each team. I think we shot like 10 more shots than them too because we got so many extra possessions offensively because of the way Hornstein crashed the glass as well. And you just gotta love how much heart the Knicks played with last night. It was so much fun to watch. One of my favorite wins of the season.
So much fun. 100 points by the third quarter. By the end of the third quarter.
Oh.
All right, so I pulled a couple of tweets here. People shouting out Brunson's greatness, and I think it deserves it because it ties into this whole discussion that we're having here of, it harkens back to the Becky Harmon comments, which in the past I spoke about that. I didn't for a while, but I did speak about it finally, and saying, in reality, what she's saying is not wrong. It's correct. We're talking about in generality. You do need your best player should be at least 6'6", 6'7", and up. It's just a reality of just history. However, doesn't mean you cannot win with someone who's shorter and that is your primary scorer. Doesn't mean you can't. Iverson has proven that. Isaiah Thomas proved that. There's many small guards that have proven that you can go all the way. And I think Brunson is one of these kind of guys as well, which is why the ceiling on what the Knicks can achieve this season, in my opinion, should be removed. We should go into the postseason expecting this team to take it all the way, at least to the Eastern Conference Finals, maybe even get to that Game 7 against Boston.
Yeah.
Maybe steal it. But before we get to that, let's just focus on here. New York basketball aggregated this. Brian Scalabrine on Boston TV said, Jalen Brunson's a problem, man. I'm telling you. A lot of people said he's not that dude. He's that dude to me. Eddie Howe said, he's scoring against everybody, y'all. Jalen, Jason, Drew, Porzingis, White. He could have had 50 tonight if he wanted to. Those are facts, man. Tommy Beer, love Tommy Beer. You guys should definitely follow him, subscribe to his newsletter. Per B-Ball Reference, here's the list. Here's the complete list of every player in the nearly 80-year history of the NBA who has averaged 39-plus points, 8-plus assists, and fewer than 2.5 turnovers while shooting above 54% from the floor over a 5-game stretch. Jalen Brunson. End of list. That's what we're talking about here.
I'm a younger fan, but he's probably one of the most unique players I've ever watched. He's
incredibly unique.
It's unbelievable what he's doing at his size, and like I always knew, like last year, like he proved it to me already in the regular season, like the Cavs series. But when he was banged up in that Heat series, he was not 100%. Especially when it came to, I know turnover, everyone's going to talk about that, but this dude had freaking 40 points in an elimination game.
Unbelievable.
He played his heart out. That was the definition of carrying the team.
We were one shot away from going to Game 7 in that. It would have been at home at the Garden. Who knows what would have happened?
So freaking heartbreaking, man. But unfortunately, maybe I have to like rewatch the game again. Maybe he could have got guys more involved, but I think RJ shot 1 for 11. Randall didn't step up. I know he wasn't fully 100%.
Yeah, RJ did. That final game, RJ did struggle on that.
Yeah, I was disappointed because
he had a great game playoffs from Game 2 to Game 5 against the Heat.
Yeah.
Those were Game 2 against who do we play in the first round?
Cleveland.
Oh, the Cavs. Game 2 against Cavs, all the way through the Game 5 against the Heat. RJ was really good. He helped us get past Cleveland.
A huge reason we beat Cleveland for sure. And shout out to Josh Hart in Game 1. Because I remember we went on a run, and then the Cavs responded. How about when Josh Hart hurt his ankle, and on that hurt ankle, he hit that clutch 3. I'll never forget that as well.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Oh my god, I freaking love this team. Holy shit! I'm so excited.
Well, our guy Perk, who was an early adopter of Jalen Brunson's greatness, of highlighting it, and shout out to him. Because we really don't get that much. Even last night on inside the NBA, it's still they're very confused about the Knicks there, because remember Charles said guaranteed Boston's going to win this game. Well, they didn't even come close. So, but Perk said, I think this was today. He said it on NBA Today. Jalen Brunson has the capability of being the best player in any series outside of Jokic. MVP top 3. He's been the best player in the Eastern Conference. That's why the ceiling must be removed. We got a skylight now. We can see the Eastern Conference clouds above us. We're going to be up there. It's going to be awesome, but we do have to take care of business before we get too far ahead of ourselves. Yep. We got to win these last 2 games, or at least split the last 2 games to guarantee that we'll get the 3rd seed.
Yeah.
And let's see what else we got here. Okay, we got Bojan. Here's some information from Fred Katz. Not sure it's been updated. If anybody has new information, just drop it in the chat about the injuries and availability for tonight. But Fred tweeted, Isaiah Hartenstein is out for tonight's game versus the Nets, Knicks say, for left Achilles injury management. Second half of a back-to-back for Hartenstein, who has been rehabbing Achilles tendinopathy. Brunson is probable, lower right leg contusion. McBride, questionable illness. Okay, let's talk a little bit about Deuce.
Ooh.
He's looked a little rough of late to me.
I expected more in that Boston game. I really did. I understand what he brings defensively, but he's gonna definitely need to score more off the bench. Like, obviously, he's a catch and shoot guy. I think he's better off the ball. I don't think he's a natural bring the ball up the floor and run the offense. Like, I remember, maybe
he's got to learn that though.
Yeah, maybe he's gotten better. Yeah, he's still got to learn, obviously, based off of like he needs to get more experience. I don't know if Tibbs trusts him yet. I do think he's grown, but I remember when he would like yell at McBride to get into like the sets faster and get into the plays faster. I forgot what game that was. But what do you have? 2 points versus Boston last night, and he had that dunk when the game. Well, obviously the game you could say was like we were in control when he had that run in the second quarter. But I've loved seeing McBride's development, obviously his growth throughout the year, because he was someone I liked when he was drafted. He was a good defender, he was a good 3-point shooter. He did better year 2 at West Virginia. They're a battle-tested program, had some inconsistent minutes. But it's so crazy to say that it's like Obi's gone, RJ's gone, Quickly's gone. Like McBride's like the last young player left. I did not expect that at all. But I want hopefully he's able to play, because I want him to have some confidence entering the playoffs. I know he's been shooting the 3-ball very well, but I want to see like what's he done for us lately, and hopefully he gets hot in this Nets game, and even if he doesn't play in the Nets game, hopefully versus Chicago, because I want to see his confidence at a all-time high level.
Definitely. I'm trying to pull up. By the way, Jalen Brunson is leading the NBA in scoring since March 15th, averaging 35.9 points per game over a 14-game span. That's 4 more points per game than Luka.
That's ridiculous.
Yes, that is how crazy that is. Trying to find. Yeah, okay. I'm just pulling, but Deuce, since March 15th to now, has averaged 36.5 minutes per game.
Mm-hmm.
For a guy who barely played at all, and then he finally gets up that many minutes all at once. And then he maybe encounters some nicks and bruises here and there that he's not, it's not keeping him out of games. And then now it looks like he's got some kind of an illness. He doesn't look quite right. So I think that week rest is really going to help him. But he's been fabulous for us. During that stretch, he shot 41.6% from the 3-point line on 7.2 attempts.
The volume, too.
The volume.
That's crazy. And I think since All-Star break, he's been averaging what? You could double check this on like StatMuse. That's what I go on. I think he's been averaging 13 points per game since All-Star break. Maybe actually, he's averaging 14.7 since March 15th. Well, there you go.
That's a month. So right there you go. It's right on line with what you were saying. Let's see here. So in terms of 3-point shooting, Since March 15th, the number one 3-point shooter in the NBA, averaging more than averaging 8 3-point attempts or more, is CJ McCollum. 45.6%, the dude's averaging on 10 attempts. But Dante, on 11.4 attempts, is averaging 42.1%, number 2 in the NBA.
That's insane.
Guess who's number 3? Guess who is number 3?
Is it Deuce or Chase?
Guess who is number 3, man?
Who is it?
Jalen motherfucking Brunson. 41.1%.
He's just playing so like consistently good that it's just like, this is how it was with Melo. Like, he drops 30. It's like, I'm not even surprised. Like, I'm not even surprised anymore. He's just that natural of a scorer, and just
that's crazy though. I mean, at that volume, and everyone's trying, and they're doing everything they can to stop this guy.
Yeah, no Randall. Even when we had no OG, like, yeah, it is truly unbelievable.
One thing that I noticed with the Heat that the Heat tried to do, and it did have some effect, but then, so what they tried to do is, and I don't even know how to describe it, but it's almost like they put a triangle around Brunson as he moved past the half court line. As he's trying to, so the defense would shift with him. So they were taking away his vision, his ability to see beyond him. And then if he was going to start to drive, the triangle would collapse and become, remember those toys that you could expand and collapse?
It's like they're playing a zone, but just on one player.
Exactly. And it almost worked. It kind of did work for a while, but then it finally broke down. I'm curious if we're going to try. It's not hard. It's not easy to do, though. It's hard to do it. You got to have the right kind of guys to do it, and Miami does. But I thought that was a really interesting approach to trying to defend that guy.
Yeah, I agree.
All right, man. Shout out to the chat. We got Stanley Mann in the house. Stanley Mann. We surveyed 100 people. Thanks so much for joining us here. We got Wiz BK LA. What's up, brother? You had to work during the watch party? Sorry, brother. It was a great time. Buzzer beater asked earlier. We had a great time. It was fun to be, around my peeps. And even though there were some Bucks fans there, they were cool as fuck. It was a great time. It was awesome. Hopefully, we'll be able to pull it together and do it again at the Greyhound for the first round of the playoffs. Maybe even game 1. That might be the easier one because if unless we win game 1, we'll do it for game 2.
Yeah,
I'm not good at watching games live with people.
I'm not either. That's why it's rare when you see me do a play-by-play, because I just act like a lunatic. I overreact to everything. I'm just like, what the F are you doing? What the? Yeah,
me too. And if you're in public and you're screaming and people are trying to eat a burger, yeah, I can ruin people's time. But I held it together against the it was the Bucks. Oh, the Bucks game. Yeah, that was wow. What a great victory! It was such a high. I'm still kind of on a high from that whole experience. But yeah, it was a great time. Hopefully, we have it again. That you can show up and join us and party with us. It'd be awesome, man.
Yeah.
Let's get back to the. Here we go. Where do we go? Oh, I think we went through all the slides.
Think so.
Oh no, this slide. This one on the show. This is what I want to talk about. This continues to support my argument that we got to remove the ceiling on what this team is capable of. Mm-hmm. And I know who I'm talking to. I'm talking to specific people right now. These are the ratings for the NBA, the entire 80 games right now. The New York Knicks offensive rating is 8th best in the NBA, just a 0.4 behind the current champion Denver Nuggets. So the Knicks have the 8th highest rated offense in the NBA. This is offensive rating is points per 100 possessions scored. The next column is defensive rating. Same thing, except this points allowed per 100 possessions. The Knicks for the entire season. This includes pre-OG. This includes RJ. This includes everything, all that stuff. 112.2, which is the 9th best defense. Now, the one thing we do know historically, this has never changed. If for a team to be a contender, a serious contender, They have to be at least in the top 10 of both of those two categories, and at least, I'd say top 6 in net rating.
Mm-hmm.
The Knicks are number 5 in the entire season, the entire NBA, with a 5.0 net rating, just a little bit behind the current champs, Denver Nuggets. We got a team here. We got ourselves an amazing team.
I'm just thinking, because, like, all respect to RJ, he's been efficient in Toronto, but he wasn't here. You look at the starting lineup. So, like, Hartenstein, he lives in the paint, dunker spot, the floaters. We know he's an efficient player. Take Josh Hart, he's been up and down. You look at his percentages, obviously he hasn't been the start of the entire season, obviously. But you have OG, who plays within the flow of the game, and he's an efficient player. Since he's been here, he's been extremely efficient from 3, just from the overall field. Brunson, you can count on him to consistently knock down shots from, like, everywhere on the floor. You see how Dante's shooting from 3. And seeing us close to the Nuggets is crazy, because when I watch the Nuggets play, it just shows how efficient our offense is. It seems like they get the most quality shot, like, every possession. And that just shows there.
That's ball movement. That's ball.
Yeah.
And, I mean, it's Jokic, man.
Exactly. Jokic is just unbelievable. It seems like he just makes the right play every time, and I just don't get it. It's insane watching the dude play the game. But this is actually the first time he's seeing this graphic. Like, I'm not surprised, because obviously we have some good players on this team, but that's just very encouraging to see. You see the company here. The Pacers, I'll say their offense is going to go down the playoffs because they play extremely fast, and I do think there's better teams defensively that are going to slow them down and make them play in the half court. That's why I think they're going to struggle a little bit offensively in the playoffs, but you got to be very encouraged. Defense, obviously, like you said, this is like whole season.
This is the whole season. Yeah, this is the whole season. Yeah.
Like, if we had OG the whole season, we'd probably be top 5, to be completely honest with you guys.
Yes. Yeah, actually, I do have those numbers. When OG, well, the period, the January Knicks period. I mean, the Knicks averaged 119.3 offensive rating, a 104.1, which is number 1, and a 15.1 net rating, which was number 2 behind the Cavaliers, which were also crazy during that period of time. But before that, I mean, after that, let's see here. This is just since January 28th. So since Randall got hurt and OG got hurt. Now OG did return, and we got Mitch back in there, but it's not that many games. So this is since January 28th, 2024. The Knicks have a 4.0 net rating. Okay, now that's OG missing, what did he miss? 20 something games, 18 games. He missed 18, 20. Yeah, of that period of 34 games, OG missed over half of these games, and the Knicks still had a top 10 net rating. They had a top 10 defensive rating team and a top 8 offensive rating team. So, and that's, a crippled team.
Yeah.
Now we have OG back. We have Mitch back. And now Brunson has become an even better offensive weapon since then. I mean, he's just incredible. And then now when you look at, these are all the lineups of the whole season, the NBA, all of the lineups. Only one, the number 1 plus-minus lineup in the NBA is Nicholas Batum, Tobias Harris, Embiid, Melton, and Maxey. They played a total of 14 games together. They average 45 points per game. Their plus-minus is 11.6.
Yeah.
The next 2, number 2 and number 3, are both Knick lineups. Number 2 is Josh Hart, Brunson, Dante, and Deuce.
Ooh,
that is the number 2 lineup in the NBA of the whole season, 7.4. And then below that is the Randall, OG, Hartenstein, Brunson, Dante lineup, a 6.2.
Unbelievable. Like,
yeah.
Like, so, what season more impressive to you? Like Tibbs' coaching job this season with Mitch hurt, Randall hurt, OG hurt, or the first year he brought us to the playoffs? With all respect to Alfred Payne, he was our starting point guard. Mitch went down. We had Nerlens Noel, who did step up. But what do you think's the more impressive coaching job this year? Obviously, we have to see how the playoffs play out. But when it comes to regular season wise, do you think
No, I think this has been incredibly impressive. Yeah, because he's grown. It shows. Like, I mean, the Thibs of 2 seasons ago wouldn't have been coaching this way, or even 3 seasons ago. No, he's evolved, and he's adopted. He's leaned into what his players do best, and he's helped them become better to improve on the things that they were weak at. So that's great coaching.
Yeah,
and he's still a bit stubborn here and there, but he's releasing from that quicker. Like, case in point, Alec Burks. He's released from that.
Speaking of Alec Burks, hopefully he doesn't play tonight, but he might. Someone said in the chat that McBride's out tonight. I don't know if that's true. Hopefully we get Milton over him. We'll see what happens. But I just saw that in the chat, and I just had to say it because it caught my
caught your eye. All right, man. Well, I think we're going to wrap it up soon. This has been great. The game's going to start soon.
Appreciate it.
Yeah, man. This has been awesome having you on.
Yep.
Let's see. We'll have to do it again. Maybe we can do it during the playoffs. It'd be fun. Do some more pregame shows. And I'll be doing a lot more lives, hopefully. Time allows. And tonight, tonight we got the Nets. We should take care of business there. And then on Sunday, we have the Bulls again. We'll play a third time in like the 10-day span.
Yeah.
You never know how that's going to go. You never know what Thibs going to do. He could start all the starters or rest them all.
And that's an early game, right? At 1?
Yeah, I think all games are at 1.
Oh yeah. I checked. I'm pretty sure I checked. Yeah.
Yeah, I think so.
Maybe.
It's cool. It's kind of like what they do with the Premier League in Europe in soccer.
Yeah.
They all played the last game at the same time. All right, man. Well, thank you so much for joining me, brother. I really appreciate it. Definitely going to have you on again. If you haven't followed Noah before, you should check out his videos. He does recaps. He does commentary. You want to shout anybody out? Anything you want to say?
Yeah, if you want, you can subscribe to my YouTube channel. It's the Knicks Realist. I'm just very passionate about the Knicks. Bring recap videos. I'm glad I don't have to talk about the draft as much because we're a very successful team now, But yeah, I'm just very passionate about the Knicks, and you can subscribe if you want. And I really appreciate you having me on. It was a blast. And yeah, let's go Knicks. Hopefully we get this win tonight. And a lot's going down in the NBA tonight. We'll see what happens with the seeding. Philly got a big game, Cleveland. I'm excited to see what happens tonight.
Lots of big games tonight. I know. I'm going to be glued to the TV nonstop. It's going to be fun.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you guys for watching this. Again, my name is George. Please subscribe. Hit the thumbs up button for me. And drop your comments. Definitely want to hear your thoughts and feelings about anything Knicks, any questions or whatever. Definitely drop those comments. And I will see you around the Knicks-Verse.